So this is my workshop where I make lures. So these are backstreet lures, or I'm not doing it with much equipment. I bought myself a very cheap working desk. This is a really cheap one. In fact, it's already started to break. But anyway, it gives me what I need. I have drill, I have a knife, very nice Argentinian knife. It's very important with wooden lures. How are you going to cut them? This knife is made by an Argentinian knife maker, and it's beautiful. Perfect blade, good handmade, very nice balance. So that's my tool. Other equipment I have include a file. It's very important to have a file. A drill. I use the drill for drilling the holes, putting the weights. This I find one of the most useful things. This shapes my lures. Can make a lot of smoothing and adjustments with that one. It's very useful. Here are some lures I'm making. See here, they're all in. These are I've just made the cutouts, and I've started drilling the holes. So the first thing to do is cut out the shape. I sort of roughly cut it out. Drill a hole for the weight. Each of these are different. They're all from a different design here. This is a small one. There's the weight, and I place the weight usually up towards the nose, but sometimes vary it. And I'm using different wood here. This is my favorite. This is like a teak or a Brazilian wood, and it's very nice. Here is so I use linseed oil to seal the wood. This is one that's just been dipped today. You can see. Here is 4 more that I've just dipped. They haven't got wires in them yet. They're ready. You see these? They're shaped. They've got the hole for the weight. They have a groove because I put the wire in the groove. I put fairly heavy duty wire. All of this wood is from waste, is from skips. I pick it up like this. I just find pieces that look good. There's plenty of it in the skips. Really plenty of it. Look, here's other pieces here which sometimes I want light or sometimes heavy. I have plenty of pieces of wood to work with. Here's one of my favorite shapes here. I just use pieces like this, and you cut out what you need from it. This is very light. The grain is important. If the grain is cutting across like that, it makes it hard to cut your lure. I'll give you an example of that. So I'm looking at this piece here. This is a particularly difficult piece of wood. It's got a knot in the middle of it, you see. So I've cut the shape of the lure, and the nose and the curves of the lure will follow the wood. So I'm really cutting the lure out of the wood, following the grain. And you can see I'm going to shape it according to the grain. This is a nice light piece of wood, but it'll make a good lure. It'll be a floating surface lure. I buy commercial lures and use the shapes from those. Works very well. There's a couple of lures I made. These are early experiments. It's a dreadful paint job. I still haven't worked out how to paint them. There's one I finished earlier. It's a good shape, but it's a dreadful paint job. But it works. This one called fish. So I've got a wire that runs through from the back to the front. Now everything comes from skips. So how do I do it? I'll run you through that actually, but not in this video. Just short to say, I'm using this Perspex. I'll show you. Here's a sheet of it. I found this in a skip. It's a bit brittle, but actually when you cut it out, it's really good, and I've used these and they don't break. And you just cut them down into small shapes, like here's one example here. So you just cut it down to the shape you need. Usually I don't make a groove, I actually make a hole through. I cut a hole through for the wire, and then in it goes. Okay, so here's some more examples. This one I've been using as a template, and I used it to make this one. It's a little bit bigger actually, but I used the same shape and this one has already been sealed. I use epoxy, and there's a lead weight in here, and I loop the wire here and here, and the perspex is in. This has got quite a big lip. I need to seal it. It's very important to seal all the holes. But that one's almost ready, just ready for painting. This one, I'm very pleased with this one actually. It's a long one. I copied a very successful design, and this has got 3 hooks, 1, 2, 3. So it's a bit more complicated. But I put the lip in at a very, very gentle angle, exactly the same as the Lear I copied. So I haven't tested this one yet. I need to paint it and take it down to the river. But these are really not for river fish. This is for marine fish. It'll handle quite a big fish. So I use this long design quite a lot. It's very popular with barracuda. This is a little bit heavier and longer, 2 hooks, slightly sharper angle on the lip. Again, you see I've used epoxy to fill in the groove. There's that one. Here's another one I made with a different sort of wood. It's very light, this one. I'm hoping this one. I test them all in the water to see whether they soak or flint. Some soak, some sink. Soak or flint. What was I saying? Some sink. Some are sort of neutrally buoyant. Actually, sinking lures are good. I like them because you can throw them further, and you have to reel them in a little bit faster, but they get down into those places. So depending on the conditions. So for example, this is quite a heavy lure. I did a bad paint job and I took it off. I'm going to repaint this. But this is a very strong lure and it swims very well. Has a very nice action in the water. I like this lure. It's worked out extremely well. So I will put a proper paint job on this and off it will go. It's another long one. So on this one I've tried to just curve the tail a little bit, make it very thin on the end. I have a lure which is like this one that swims very well, caught a lot of fish. So I'm trying to replicate that. Okay, thank you very much.